My name is Donna and welcome back to my YouTube channel, No Mirror Needed, where I create personal growth, self-help, and development videos just for you. So today I have a really great video. We are going to be discussing budgeting 101, especially for beginners. We're also going to be diving into credit history, credit score, and retirement. And these are things that they just don't teach you in school, so I find it to be a very important topic, especially if you are just starting out in the workforce or you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're trying to balance and get control of your finances, as well as if you're absolutely doing nothing that has anything to do with budgeting, credit, or retirement, then you are going to want to start today. So we're just going to dive right into this video and get you guys started on how you could be on the path to budgeting and gaining control of your finances today. So if you are doing absolutely nothing when it comes to these three things, then I suggest you start immediately. Getting control of your finances, putting yourself on a budget. And listen, this budgeting system that I'm using is very, very simple. It's something that you can do every single day, and it's for just the regular person who is on a small budget and wants to balance and manage their finances. So this necessarily may not be for you, but if you are interested, you can go ahead and keep watching. These strategies I have been literally using for over a decade, and it has worked for me to get out of credit card debt, to save. And if you are just maybe trying to buy a car or put a down payment on a house, then these strategies will really work for you. First, let me discuss the 5 benefits of budgeting. So budgeting your money really gives your finances an understanding of purpose with intention. It really helps you gain control over your financial situation. You are in charge of your money. Your money is not in charge of you. No matter what your lifestyle is, no matter what your pay rate is or anything to that effect, or what kind of means you are living, you are in control of your money. Do not let it get away from you. It's really important that you understand what's going on with your money, and if you understand it, it's easier to control it. So budgeting obviously keeps you set on a long-term project and helps you keep those goals that you're looking to accomplish. Like I said, whether you're looking to buy your first home, buy a car, go on vacation, put your child through college, whatever it may be, then you need to budget some sort so you can have a perspective on what it's going to be like to get that goal accomplished. It really helps you keep yourself accountable, and when you see your goals being processed and when you see them coming to fruition, you really have a sense of power that you are in control of what's going on in your life. Not only that, budgeting helps you control any unforeseen setbacks, and things happen in life that we necessarily may not be planning for. And if we're living on a paycheck to paycheck type of lifestyle, it's going to be really hard to set a rainy day fund or a what if in case fund, because things can possibly happen in our life, and what if we don't have the finances to back that up. So we really want to focus on keeping some sort of budget so we can forecast any unforeseen events that might be happening in our life. Benefit number 3 is that it obviously helps set us up for long-term events that we want to accomplish, whether we are preparing for a wedding, sending your child off to college, buying a brand new car, going on vacation, just even getting down a large credit card, paying a big lump sum for something. This is obviously going to help you achieve those goals by setting a plan for any long-term events that we want to see happen in our life. Benefit number 4 is that if you are like me and you're living in a high-priced city like New York, then living from paycheck to paycheck is something that I have struggled with literally my entire life. Prices here living in New York are astronomical. It is just really hard sometimes to manage my finances, buy things that I want to buy for my home, buy clothes, have entertainment still, go out with my friends. It's really super hard sometimes to break that lifestyle from living paycheck to paycheck. And tip number 5, or benefit number 5, is that budgeting helps us break the cycle of spending money we just don't have. It helps you get a handle on your finances by not overspending or buying things that we just obviously don't need but want. By helping you get a handle on what has gotten away from you, it would also help you increase your credit score and decrease your debt. The life that we're living in right now is basically, we're all guilty of supplementing our income to live the life that we want to live. We are in a country filled with debt, and we are getting even more in debt by the minute. Credit cards are a huge problem for Americans, especially now, because we are literally living off of the credit, and with high interest rates, it's almost impossible to pay off any credit cards. The more we put on our credit card, the bigger hole we are digging for ourselves, or the interest is going up for you and you just can't get out of it. You're digging yourself a bigger hole. So what do we do then, right? Basically, don't spend money that you don't have. Yeah, right. It's hard to not live outside of our means. In this video, I am going to show you some really simple budgeting strategies that I have literally used for over a decade, and it has really worked for me to gain control of my finances. I haven't always practiced the art of budgeting, and I wish I would have started so much earlier, because I feel like I would have had so much more accomplished. Right now in my life, I am so money and budgeted oriented. It is something that I literally look at and have control of every single day. I am looking at my budget, I'm looking at my finances, I'm looking at my bills. And I never really practiced that when I was younger, in my 20s. What do you know, right? This is something, again, that no one teaches you in school. They don't teach you about budgeting. They don't teach you about credit. They don't teach you about retirement. And this is, next to calculus, next to history, these three topics should be something that is taught in high school or in school. It should be something that they really teach you when you're going to school, because if you don't get the information from your family or from your parents, which I know it did for me because I had no idea what credit was. I was not informative about credit cards and credit card debt. I was too young to have a credit card. I was basically 19 when I got my first credit card, and I immediately put myself in credit card debt because of it, because no one really explained to me how to manage my money. I was basically free falling through the universe. I was making a ton of money in my 20s, and unfortunately that is the start of bad habits when you start becoming an adult. So when you get older, it's harder to get yourself out of that situation, but you can do it. So I'm just gonna go grab my computer and set myself up. You're gonna go on ahead and grab yours now if you like, if you wanna follow along. If not, I have my computer charging right now, so I will be right back. Let me just go ahead and grab it. What you see here is the beginning stages of building the budget. I have practice budget at the top. I'm gonna be doing the last week of March into April, because April has an extra week of pay for us. So that's why I did it this way. And I just am going to basically build this budget, and I'm going to pre-fill everything out for you so you can see exactly what I'm doing, and then I'll explain to you why I'm doing it this way. So what I use is Google Sheets right off the Google Drive. It's absolutely free, and if you're familiar with using Excel, you'll be familiar with using this because it's really super easy to use and to follow. So the reason why I like using this is because I can sync this up with my phone. And I can carry, obviously, I have my phone with me all the time. So if I ever want to look at the budget or edit the budget, it's easy to do. I just hop on my phone and I can manipulate it or change it or see where I am financially that week. Maybe there's something that I want to do and I want to change this around a little bit. This is not set in stone, so you can just do whatever you want with it. And like I said, it's really super easy to use. So I'm going to start filling this all out now. And what I've used is just a generic spreadsheet. Obviously, your situation is going to be different. Your pay is going to be different. Your bills are going to be different. So you can just plug that all in. This is just basic generic necessities that I think everyone basically has right now, but you obviously can change this to fit your lifestyle and your budget and your needs. So I'm going to pre-fill that out for you right now, and I will be right back. Is pre-filled out for you. I created a very realistic budget for someone that is kind of like hitting in the middle of any type of paycheck or anything to that effect. I try to keep the cost of certain things down because depending on what area you live in, I didn't want to make it super high and super unrealistic. If it's obviously, we all have different situations, so this is going to be completely manipulated and changed to fit your needs. But for general purposes speaking, this is just something that you can follow and use this as a guide so you can start budgeting, especially if it's your first time budgeting and you're not even sure like where to even start. This system I have been using for literally years and years. It has worked for me, and sometimes it hasn't worked for me. It just depends on what's going on in my life at that specific moment. Sometimes you just can't budget. sometimes you're living in a situation where there is just no room for budgeting. And I completely understand that, but you want to try to do at least something to gain control over your finances. Just something. So what I have laid out for you is just a very simple spreadsheet. So on the left-hand side, you have all the account names that you are going to need. So I lay it out as income because that happens every single week. I put the income as $550, but again, that can change. And then I also have bank account because we're going to be rolling over whatever funds are in our checking account or whatever funds that we use over to the next week, because that's how we're going to play out and manage this type of financial situation. So then obviously I'm going to start listing any of our bills from the most important bill to the least important bill. So obviously rent or mortgage is obviously the most important bill that you have, followed by utilities. So cable, phone, and then obviously your car insurance, car payments, and then groceries. For me, those are the top important things that we need to keep our lifestyle afloat and to keep the roof over our head. So those are our major bills. So next to each one of those bills, I also laid out the due dates, because let's face it, we can't always remember when the due date is approaching. And we're going to need to use those dates to be able to place the amounts that we are going to need to pay into the prior week. So let's say like for this bill right here, student loan bill. The student loan bill is due on the 21st of every single month. So obviously I'm going to place that payment the week prior, because our next paycheck doesn't come until April 23rd. So if we wait until April 23rd to pay our student loans, obviously we're going to be late with the payment. So we need to then calculate that payment is going to be coming out on anywhere between the 16th and the 23rd. So that's why we put it on the week of the 16th, if that makes any sense. Because if we put it any later, then obviously we're going to be late with our payments. And that is the most detrimental thing that you can do to your score, is be late. You don't want to be late. Call them up if you feel like you are going to be late, and just make an agreement or an arrangement with them, and they will work with you. So then I pretty much figure that everyone has at least 2 credit cards. I have way more than 2 credit cards. I wish I had no credit cards, to be honest with you, but I put them as all being due on the 1st of the month. And I did that because I wanted to show you how the month prior is also going to factor into the next month. You're not getting paid until April 2nd. If we wait until the 2nd to make our payment, then again, we are going to be late. So a lot of my payments are all on an automatic payments. It's super easy for me to manage my finances that way. If I put everything on an automatic payment, then I really don't even have to think about it. Then renter's insurance, if you're renting a home like me, or any type of insurance, I have renter's insurance. And if you are just getting your apartment for the first time, I do absolutely recommend getting it. Usually it can be tied into like your car insurance, and it's super easy and affordable, anywhere between like $10, $15, $20 a month. And it really helps you in case of an emergency, cover your personal items. So depending on, what happens to them. So I always suggest getting them and make sure you have that coverage. But I put that in again. That's due on the 2nd. So since it's due on the 2nd, we get paid on the 2nd, we can put it down under the 2nd. So then I also accounted for a gym membership, possibly some people may have, that comes out on the 1st. So again, we're going to calculate that into the prior week's pay, because we're going to have that funds taken out on the 1st of the week. So we want to make sure that the bill is paid and that we have the funds set aside for when it's due. Then I did like Netflix, Spotify. Oh, one thing I skipped over, I don't know why I skipped over it so fast, but is groceries. So groceries, I just guesstimated it to be $100 a week, but if you notice, we are in the negative over here. So we are going to need to make some adjustments in this budget so we can make sure that we're covering all of our expenses. So I wanted to show you how we can manipulate this to fit whatever's going on during our life that month, or whatever the case is. So there's no prior history here as far as like previous months that we're going off of, just to make sure we're covered for our rent expense. I put $1,000 in there. So anything that's a positive or money coming in, I've made a green. I colored it green, and if the money is going out, I colored it red. And that's just an easier way to just legend all of your finances. And then once the bills are paid, I kind of like highlight everything and I'll go in and I'll just like highlight it so I know that it was paid. So, but we'll take that off. And then I obviously gray out any other areas that are not needed for that month. It's just easier on the eyes to read. So if you go down the last week of March, once all the bills are paid, we have to account for the rent coming out again anywhere between the 28th and the 1st of the month. You have about a 5-day grace period to pay your rent. So you can factor it in that way, or if you have an agreement with your landlord, obviously you can change when your rent is due. Some people's rent is due on the 15th, and that's fine. So that might be different for you as well. But I factored that in. So groceries, again, I figured $100, credit cards, gym. That leaves us with a total of $215 that's going to roll over into our bank account the next week. As of the 2nd, we're going to have groceries come out. We're going to have our renter's insurance come out. We're going to have Netflix come out because obviously the Netflix is not due until the 8th, but we don't get paid until the 9th. So if we wait until the 9th, we will be late. So, and then you can see there's $632 left for that week that is going to be rolling over. Oh, excuse me, $632 left for the week, which we can roll over to the following month. Okay, so once we do that, then we have utilities that are due, groceries. I'm going to reduce these groceries. Again, I feel like it could be a little bit high. If you are budgeting out your money and you're doing a meal prep plan or something like that, maybe your groceries will be a little bit less, but there's no need for you to need $500 worth of groceries. I feel like that's a little high. I mean, I know I go through groceries like water, but we'll reduce that a little bit. And then we have our Spotify and our miscellaneous bill. So miscellaneous bill could be anything. Maybe you got I don't know, you got a ticket that week that you weren't expecting, or maybe you had to go to the doctor that week and you had a copay that you needed to pay that you weren't expecting. So we'll leave miscellaneous bill in right now for just a rainy day if something happens. So for right now, I am not going to calculate any type of savings. We'll do that at the end of the month and we'll see how much money we have left over. So at the end of the week, we have $969 left over that could be rolled into the following week. So now we have the 16th and we have, let's see, we have a car payment that needs to come out. We have more groceries. We have a student loan that I figure everyone has student loans. And then we have clothes. You know what though? We are going to take away these clothes and we'll leave it out for now. But again, that's something that you can add in later. And you can use, maybe you need clothes that month or anything to that effect. So you can just, again, manipulate that. So we have $11.44 that we're going to roll over, $11.44. And now we're in the second to last week of the month. So what's good about this month is that there's a couple of months during the year that have an extra pay week. So that always helps out to like throw into a savings account or maybe get a bill ahead. Pay a bill ahead. So that's also always good to take account. So we have a phone bill that needs to come out. We have a cable bill that needs to come out. We have car insurance. Again, we have some groceries. We'll go ahead and reduce that this time to $25. Maybe we did well with our groceries. We don't need that much in groceries. And then again, we have some entertainment, which I'm also going to just take out. I feel like a lot of people aren't doing much going out these days, but maybe you want to go out to dinner one night. Again, you can manipulate that and change that into your budget. So as of right now, we have $11.89 coming out. I'm sorry, we have $11.89 that we can roll over to the next week. And our final week of April, we need to take account of anything coming out for the 1st of May. So again, like as of, let's see, oh, my phone's not around me, but the next Friday in May is what we need to take account for. So let's see if I can pull that up. So May 7th, right, is going to be our next pay date. So if you kind of like cut and paste this week in here, and let's make this 5/7/20 2021, you are going to see that we need to take account of all the bills that are coming out on the 1st between the 30th and the 7th. So I hope all this makes a lot of sense. Maybe if you see it makes sense. And if you have any questions, you can definitely DM me and leave me a question down below, or head over to my Instagram and you can message me over there wherever you feel comfortable. But if you need help doing any type of budgeting, or even if you need the spreadsheet sent to you, I can always send it to you. Just leave me a comment and I will help you out with any of this kind of budgeting that maybe you're working on for the first time. So I will be more than willing to help anyone who is trying to budget their finances. So as you can see, we need to take accountability of anything coming out again between the last week and the 1st of the month. So we can kind of like eliminate now, you know, the rent and so forth. And let's take out this rollover money. Let's reduce that as well. So the last week of April, we have $550, as well as the rollover amount of $11.89. And when we do that, that puts us in the positive of $469, which is absolutely amazing, but we may need that for next week's rent. So we'll just go ahead and calculate that in. So again, this is going to change for everyone. Everyone's situation is different, but this is just a basic spreadsheet that I go off of. And then out of this $469 that you have, that you can maybe put away anything for a savings or make another bill, or again, if you need to put it towards rent, you'll have to put it towards rent depending on if you're short that month or not. But all of this can be basically manipulated, but this is the budget that has always worked for me, and it helps me get all my bills paid, and it helps me get my bills paid on time, and it really helps me know exactly where all my money is going, and I have control over it. And you know, sometimes you're going to be short one month. You just have to factor in that accountability and make sure that you are in control of this, because this is going to help you out a ton instead of just kind of like winging your bills, just winging things and not knowing, and then things get away from you and then you're like, oh shoot, I don't have the money to pay for this. So at least you know on paper where you stand financially, and all this can be adjusted and changed. So I hope some of that budgeting made a little sense to you. At least you can follow the spreadsheet, just plug in everything according to what your needs are financially. But like I said, it is super easy to use, and if you aren't using anything, you really should start. So let's just get into credit and credit history. So no one told me about credit history. Like I said, it's something that no one ever teaches you, and I feel like it's so super important now. You cannot do anything nowadays without your credit being checked, and people hold it at such a high accountability for you, and they automatically judge you off your credit score, and your credit history. So basically, credit starts when you first get your initial credit history, and it's based off of the age of credit. Everyone starts with a 300 credit score, and that basically means that you have no credit at all. It doesn't mean that you have bad credit, it just means you have no history whatsoever. Credit scores range between 580 and 850. 580 being the lowest and 850 being absolutely the highest. So anywhere between 580 and 670 is considered fair. 670 to about 740 is considered good. 740 to about 800 is considered very good. And then anything over 800 to 850 is considered excellent. So that's basically how you are rated by your credit score. Credit scores are basically needed for almost anything in your life now, from getting a mortgage or buying a house, to getting an apartment, to getting a car loans, to get credit cards. Anything to that effect are really based off of your credit score, and history. It is very important that you start monitoring your credit as soon as you're out there in the workforce. If you're 18 and you got your first job, start monitoring your credit, start monitoring your credit cards if you have one that young, and really pay attention to what you are doing when it comes to your credit score. Credit score doesn't remain the same forever. It changes and fluctuates literally from a month to month basis. You can request a free copy of your credit score from 3 of the major credit bureaus. That's Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Those are the 3 credit bureaus that we use in order to gauge a credit score. You could also use Credit Karma. Credit Karma is a great tool to use. It's a desktop and a phone app. I've been using that for absolutely years and years, and basically it is pretty accurate. It changes within every week. I believe every week they update their information depending on when the information is sent, like from your credit card company or whatever bank is operated through the credit card. Depending on when they give or release that information to Credit Karma is when Credit Karma pretty much updates it. But it can take from 7 days to up to 30 days, depending on when that particular entity sends them the information. But it is pretty accurate, and it's an average of all of the 3 credit bureaus. But I think to start out, it is a great tool. It helps you track, monitor. They also give you offers for specific loans, mortgages, and credit cards, as well as deductibles in your car payments, as well as taxes. You can also do your taxes through Credit Karma, which I had done 2 years in the past, and it worked perfectly fine for me. Each specific thing that is on your credit history has a certain amount of years on when it's removed. So if you have like a late payment, that takes about 7 years. If you have a bankruptcy, that takes a very long time, up to, I believe, 11 years. Things like that will reflect on your credit history, and they will not come off right away. If you have someone that is looking into your credit history and they do like a hard pull, that could last up to 3 years. So the next topic I want to talk about is consolidation loans. I have taken out a few loans over the years, all for different reasons, but a consolidation loan will really help you reduce some of your credit card payments, and this will help you get out of debt, raising your credit score. Now, before you do anything having to do with any loans, I suggest that you first budget your money, and budget your money for at least 6 months so you can get a grasp and a hold of it. Because if you've never done anything like this before and you go out and get a loan and the loan is not within your budget, you are going to get murdered, and you are going to take a huge hit financially because you think that it's working for you. But this is what happens when you take out a loan and you consolidate. You reduce all of your credit cards, they're down to 0, and now you have an open-ended free shopping spree for yourself that you can go ahead and put yourself back into debt, and that is a big no-no. And you do not want to fall trap to that. So now you're going to be paying for a loan, and you're going to then again be paying for credit card bills. So that is something that we do not want to do, and it's not the best practice. And shop around for all the loans that you are going to want, that you're interested in. You will not get accepted to all the loans, especially if you have a low credit score. They're not going to take you or accept you because your income to debt ratio is too high for them. They're going to see what your income is to what your debt is, and then they're going to figure out how much loan they're going to give you, and then they're going to say, well, how do you intend on paying us if you don't have any means to do that? So a lot of that comes from experience and just making sure that you're shopping around and asking the right questions. So the 2 loans that I have worked with in the past is Upstart and the Lending Club. These are 2 great loans that I suggest to anyone who is just starting out with a loan, you're looking to get yourself out of debt, and you have low credit score. So I suggest using any one of these 2. I have had 3 loans with these companies, and I have helped me tremendously. So like I said, you can just like apply online through like their website, and you can see if you're pre-approved. This will not do a hard pull on your credit score. It's just like a credit inquiry, so you won't get like a point or a reduction off of your credit history or anything to that effect. Your score will not go down. But once you get like your pre-approval letter or anything like that, you are eventually going to get on the phone with a representative, and like I said, they are going to ask you for your credit history, your credit finances. They're also going to ask you for your financial statements from your tax returns, and they're going to ask you for proof of income. So you want to keep that in mind as well. Usually it takes a few days to get an approval. With Upstart, they use a formula to factor in your work history, your life experience, and your overall potential. I think, again, this is a great loan to start out, especially if you have a low credit score. Their credit history is based off of a 680 or above credit score. So as long as you have that, you probably will get approved for their loan, and approval of the loan can take literally 1 business day for the funds to enter your bank account. Their APR, which is their interest rate, ranges anywhere between 8.25% to about 36%, and that is based off of your credit history. So depending on how well your credit score is and how long the age of your credit history is will also determine how low your interest rate will be. Sometimes with these loans, along with producing your financial statements and your tax returns, they will also ask you for a breakdown of all of your financial payouts, because they want to see what you're paying out every single month. That will include any rent, utilities, car payments, other credit cards that you already have, etc. They will factor that all into the loan agreement and in the rates of the loan. factoring in your income to debt ratio that I talked about. Now, this is very important if you're going to get a mortgage or if you are going to get an apartment for the first time. People really look at your income to debt ratio. Anything that's 20 to 30% is considered a low debt ratio. Anything that's 40% or higher is considered financial stress or a high debt ratio. So you want to pay attention to that as well. And again, Credit Karma is very good at determining what your income to debt ratio is every single month. That will fluctuate, but that will be very important in determining your mortgage rates or if you can rent an apartment or not. So the formula for determining your income to debt ratio is very easy. All you do is divide your monthly reoccurring debt by your gross income, and that's how you get the percentage for your income to debt ratio. So the second loan that I took out was really for my consolidation of my credit card debt, and it worked so well for me. Again, I'm not advocating everyone to go out and get a loan. If it works and it's in your budget and you determine that it's going to be the best decision for you, then go ahead and do it. But if not, maybe speak to a financial advisor first. I am not a financial advisor. This is just what worked for me and my experience with getting a consolidation loan. So it really helped me get out of credit card debt because I was able to, basically what they do is that the company that you are taking the loan from pays off all of your credit cards. You give them a balance for each and every one of your credit cards. You tell them, well, I owe this amount and this amount and this amount on these credit cards. They basically pay the credit card company, giving you a zero balance, and then they take on the debt and you pay them one payment. So instead of paying multiple credit cards, maybe 5, 6 is what's basically what I had. It was really hard for me to get those payments down or those balances down because I was paying so high in interest rates. So instead, it took all those interest rates away and gave me one specific interest rate that was on the loan. So it worked really well for me. It gave me a zero balance on all of my credit cards. And then what it did was it raised my credit score, because once those credit cards are paid off, they then alert your credit bureau or the credit bureaus, and it determines that you have a zero balance now. Now, you will show the loan on your credit history, but the loan is factored in a completely different way than credit card debt. So that's what I did to bring my 580 credit score up to a 740. But you do not want to fall trap to this, because this will open up a door for a bad situation for you as well if you do not have a hold of your finances. Because what's going to happen is now you have all these brand new credit cards with no balances on it, and you basically say you have free money now, and you go out and you rack up credit card debt again. That is completely defeating the purpose. You are going to put yourself in financial ruins if you do that. And now you have to take in consideration that you're paying a loan which can go from 3 to 5 years, even longer, depending on what you got approved for. And you're going to have this loan on your shoulders for a long time, and then now you have all this credit card debt. So do not do that. A loan like this is offered to someone who has like an above average credit score. So if you have a very low credit score, this is probably not going to be a loan for you. In addition, some of these type of loans do have some type of a processing fee. So for me, let's say you take out a $10,000 loan and their rate is $500 for processing the loan, you're now only getting $9,500 sent to you. So just keep that in mind. And if you are doing something where you are consolidating your loan with these credit cards, they pay the credit card company straight to the credit card company. So they're not sending you the $10,000 and then it's your job to pay off the credit card companies. They're paying off the credit card companies for you. So you may not ever see that money. That's just the agreement. Depending on what your rate is or your credit history, all of that is factored into your loan agreement. As a kid, there's a lot of things I don't tell you about finances and 401k and retirement. And maybe that's because they're trying to protect you, or maybe your parents just don't know themselves. Retirement is so super important. And that is another topic that I wanted to touch upon today. But retirement is something that no one ever teaches you. Falling into financial hardships is something that no one ever touches upon. And I think it's so super important that we are building a future for ourselves and we think about retirement literally from day one. Just don't think to yourselves, okay, well, I'm 21 and I just started working. I don't have to worry about retirement because that's like 40 years in the future. Well, you do, because 40 years goes so super fast, and the next thing you know, you're turned around and you have no financial backing for retirement. And I'm going to go over some of the things that have to do with retirement. I'll make it super quick. As of right now, 2021, the age of retirement is 66 years old. You can retire earlier if you are eligible, but you want to make sure that you are obviously following the correct Social Security guidelines. Social Security, if you don't know, is an agency that you pay into within all of your paychecks or your pay stubs. If you work off a 1099, you're necessarily not paying into your Social Security. So you want to make sure that you factor that into your financial future, because you are not putting money away for Social Security, and everyone is eligible for Social Security. It's a contribution that you pay into that is intended to be used for your retirement. In most cases, some people are forced to work longer than the age of 66, but obviously our goal is to stop at retirement. The cost of living goes up every single day, so what is working now for us may not work at the time of our retirement. These are forecasted numbers that may work now but may not work later. So this Social Security contribution is an unavoidable contribution, and it is paid out by everyone who is holding a job. You can create a Social Security login for yourself, and you could already make your own Social Security profile. This will even help you forecast again what your pay rates are going to look like, or what your Social Security payout is going to look like. And there is a formula to determining what is the amount of Social Security money you're going to get paid every single month at retirement. You can go to the website. I will link it down below for you, and you can follow the link and you can create your own Social Security login and profile if you're interested. Social Security benefits are based off of your lifetime earnings and are adjusted according to your average pay wage. So that's how they determine what your payout is going to be at the end of your retirement. So I actually have the formula written down because I just couldn't remember it, but the average is the result of dividing the sum of 35 of the highest amounts by the number of months in 35 years. So that is how they determine what your payout is going to be. The most amount of money that you could receive is determined by your age and the average of your work experience. $2,200 to about $3,800 is the most amount of money that you could receive through Social Security, and the least amount ranges anywhere between $1,200 to $1,500. Again, that is all factored in your pay wages, the amount of years you worked, and your age. Now, as you can see by looking at these numbers, if you are on the low end spectrum of only bringing in $1,200 of Social Security, there is no way that you are going to be able to sustain living on your own at retirement. You are going to struggle. So when it comes to a 401k account, there are several different types of accounts or ways you can set up the accounts, like a Roth account. I'm not going to go into too much detail about those different types of accounts because I'm not involved in it, but I will leave links down below if you have some questions. You can kind of just look it up on your own. Some of these accounts have limited risk and some of them are a little bit on the riskier side. They're determined off of basically the stock market and your investments. So you have an account manager who manages your stocks, who invests for you, and you can make those choices yourself if you want. You can choose what stocks you choose, or you can have your account manager do it for you. It all depends on what you're most comfortable with. Also keep in mind that you can borrow against your 401k balance, but you will get hit with taxes and some penalties. So just keep that in mind. But you can also use your 401k if you're a first-time homeowner. You can get a negotiation and borrow against your balance and not get penalized if you're using it as a down payment for your first home. Now let's talk about what a pension is. If you don't know what a pension is based off of basically how many years you put into a job. It's really more around like maybe a unionized job or a job with the city. So if you were a garbage man or a cop or a teacher or something to that effect, or if you're in a carpenter's union, you will then get a pension. So think about it. If you have a job that offers you a pension, plus you have 401k, plus you have your Social Security, you're doing a lot better. So those are the goals that you want to reach. Make sure if you can't have a 401k that's set up or provided by your company, you do it independently on your own. Now I do both. I have something that's called an Acorns account, but it basically takes any of my my debit transactions, they roll up the money and then they pay out at $5, subtract that out of my bank account, and then they match it and subtract another rollover amount. So I'm investing at least $30 to $40, sometimes $50 to $60 every month into this specific account for myself, which then can be, I can withdraw from it up to a certain amount without being penalized, but I can use that towards any large bill, a vacation, or my retirement. So just keep in mind mind as well with a 401k, balances do fluctuate because they are off of the stock market and the market rates do change. So I really hope you guys got a lot of information off of this video and you found it very, very useful. I wish someone had told me this stuff when I was younger so I didn't fall pit trap to a lot of these mistakes that I made, but it was all a learning experience and hopefully you will learn from my mistakes. I just want to say hello to all the new subscribers and thank you to all the returning subscribers. My camera is flashing. I am running out of space, so I need to wrap up this video. So for now, thank you so much guys for watching and I will see you next week.